Good morning, guys. Good morning. Ron here once again. What a way to kick off the week. I mean, earnings week, earnings season, everything is just kicking off. I told you guys to Monday was the day off, just extremely low volume for that day, and I was just not expecting much. Not that there wasn't any profits to be made on things like Shopify, as I demonstrated on the paper trade, pen and paper trade. But overall, I just felt it was going to be a good day to have the day off. But looking at yesterday, yesterday was the kickoff of the earnings season. We had the likes of UNH, JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. We had quite a few to choose from. And for me personally, I had two major ones that I picked to have a particular action. One of those was UNH, the other one was Goldman Sachs. I was expecting gap ups on both. I made a call on the room. I did not trade these as I'm still modifying and making sure that this system that I'm going over actually works and actually predicting at least 70 to 80% or higher of the time what actually will happen. So for the time being, for the next 30 days, as the earnings season goes on, I'm gonna be just logging these just to see how often I'm right based on the information that I'm seeing. So in this example, the ones I picked were Goldman Sachs and UNH, and this is what I have posted. As you can see here, I posted UNH to gap up on earnings, 1710 contracts purchases. 1,710 contracts purchased for the 240 call for 15 November at $1.35. On the open, these were worth over $3 and $4 yesterday. So these guys made a decent profit. And again, guys, do the math: 1,710 times 135. You guys go ahead and do the math and see how much money somebody put that UNH was going up the next day. So again, I did not take the position, so it's just for no paper purposes only. And that was just on one order, guys. So that's what I was observing, and I was trying to see, hey, but 240 seemed a little far for me. But I was like, hey, somebody's willing to bet that much money that far out. Let's see how accurate they are. And accurate they were, because as you can see, that's exactly where UNH went. GS, Goldman Sachs, I was also expecting a gap up because of the amount of money they put into these two contracts here. Normally, when I see these many and the next contract over $5 away or $10 away match, I would say it's probably a spread and it's a bearish bet, more than likely, but the numbers just didn't line up. So I called it a bullish bet. So, and then there was a lot of volume going into the close. So I still remain that it was a bullish bet. Goldman Sachs did not gap up. It did not gap up. And actually just ended up going down and then coming up to meet those targets. So I didn't add it to my watch list for the day. So for the day, I only had, let's go ahead and take a look. I have BLK and UNH. And then let's go ahead and go over these targets and what we actually ended up hitting. So Goldman Sachs, I actually left it out because you know what, it didn't do what I was expecting, so I just left it alone. But it actually ended up being an awesome play once I tried to push lower, hit key levels, and it just reversed massively, and then it just reclaimed everything that it lost. So it was actually would have been a really good trade. UNH though, let's go ahead and jump into UNH. UNH was actually really good. Originally, we had it set that once it broke this level here of 226.51, calls. I was targeting levels of, let's see, 228 as my confirmation, 228 and change right around here, which was the previous days. 228, 87, 85, which as you can see here, this line, it was from the previous day's high. That was going to be my confirmation. Once we broke that level, we were going to look for the 231 level right here, followed by 234, followed by 239.10, which is pretty much the high. And it didn't break there. I mean, it went to 239.84, guys. I get it. Give or take a few pennies. But obviously, it stayed pretty much around that area. I did it. And that was my last target for it, 239.10, because as I had mentioned, You can expect it to give you an 11 plus dollar move from the open, but it did most of the move on the pre-market, which kind of sucked. It did most of this because we wanted to get it here, but it did most of it on the pre-market. As you can see here, from the open 231 to 239, only ended up giving us about $9 move, instead of the 11 to $20 at most we can expect. So that's what I was looking for. But I hate it when they do this, because now we're not able to take advantage of this. But it actually did the move. It was pretty nice. On the morning call, I did brief that UNH does tend to sell off a lot based on previous earning seasons. But like always, we always plan. We always plan for both sides. We always plan for the worst. That way, you are ready to take action and don't miss out on this push higher here. Because at the end of the day, this is still a nice money making opportunity right here. It was a great, 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 great opportunity here. Okay. Now, the next one was the only other one I had on the list for yesterday was BlackRock. Let's go ahead and take a look. All right, for BLK, once again, it actually was a really, really good one. It kind of easy because it's right at the pivot, so it kind of makes sense. You can see here it was struggling the first 10 minutes. It just kept pushing higher, pushing lower, pushing higher, pushing lower. It made an attempt to close the gap, and basically it's trying to push lower because all the other financials were pushing lower in the morning. But then ultimately, as you can see here, once it made its decision to go higher, higher it went, and it did hit. Let's see, 449. Yeah, it just missed our last target by about $1 and change. So 447.98 was the high. We were looking for 449.20 as the peak. So we were looking for an $11 move. And I'm sorry, I know UNH. I said $11. I actually put $9+ move. That is what we got once it opened. And then UNH, I was looking for an $11+ move. And then what did we get? We got all the way down from 435 to 447. From the open, we got 437 all the way to 447.98. So pretty close. Yeah, so it's about $11 right there, guys. So that's a pretty solid move right there. Definitely plenty of room for you to make money. Again, as you're trading the right edge, you just have to be confident. This is why we plan. This is why we do our calls every morning, just so that you're prepared and have a reason to expect without fear and don't get squeezed out. Again, this is why you need to jump into the higher time frames so that you don't get squeezed out of little wick by little red candles. Once you start looking at the 10-minute candles, this starts to look a little bit more appealing, and these little wicks here, when you see them on the 1 minute, won't squeeze you out. All right, so this looks solid. After looking at the 10-minute like this, definitely you can see here starting to have trouble. This is probably definitely the time right here, right around this area, to start considering taking profits. Again, I didn't have a level around this area, a target, so we missed our last target for the day by about $1 and change. So, and as you can see, it tried to come back up and it failed. So definitely, if you still had it by this time, you definitely needed to be out on the second attempt when it failed to continue to go higher. So that was BlackRock. So the rest of them were actually solid. So yesterday's watch list we had, let's take a look. So we had just these, all of the earnings ones. We were looking for the ones that had the most volume. And yesterday I could tell you Goldman Sachs was definitely one of them. So let's go ahead and send Goldman Sachs over to that chart. As you can see, Goldman Sachs did not, it actually pushed higher pre-market. So I was like, oh, cool, it's about to gap up like I expected, but it ultimately failed to do so. It did not gap up. It actually pushed lower for the first 20 minutes, and then only to reverse from there and have a massive push higher, ending the day higher and above the previous day's close. So still worked out. I would say that the original prediction still was valid. It's just a matter of planning for both sides and understanding what the potential of it, of what it could do. So as you can see, it hit key levels when it went down, and then it reversed from there. So I would definitely say For myself, anyway, these are notes for myself, guys, that, I did find the right information. It's just a matter of understanding the stock's potential moves and playing them the right way. So again, execution, execution, execution. So for today's list, we only have 4 on the list. So those are Netflix, PNC, UAL, JBHT. For UAL, I did make another bold prediction for myself. I am just tracking these. So for UAL, I predicted a gap lower, and my reasoning for that was someone is betting big on UAL drop. Over 42,000 has been bought throughout the day. Average price of 0.17 for 15 November 17 puts. And guys, I'm not a big fan of out of the monies, and just even if it is just 17 cents, 10 cents. But when you're buying so much, where you're putting 40,000 plus thousands of dollars, and again, I don't know for a fact, obviously, that it was one person, but based on the sizing, it looks like somebody definitely put in quite a few thousands of dollars. So this is the overall total. By the time I saw this, I'm not going to say that this is one person. Obviously, it's not. But the other alternative thing that I did see was that there were some spreads between 90 and 92.50 that were bought up, 750 contracts to be exact. Okay, so if you go ahead and analyze those, when you go to the time and sales execution, you go ahead and analyze those, you can see what their risk was, because you can see exactly what they put up to work. So basically, if you put 750 contracts, you sold the 90 calls and you bought the 92.50s, which is the only thing that actually makes sense on that play based on the cost, you will see how much they're actually putting up to risk. And this is one order. So this is one order. So this one reaffirmed the original purchase on the 15 November puts, and then you match them up with this. So it's like, okay, so one or a couple of parties are definitely bearish UAL, and they're expecting a drop between now and November 15. And then I compared the spread, which does expire this week. These expire in November, so I bet that UAL gaps lower. Right now, we'll see what it actually ends up doing, and what it ends up doing for the week going into expiration. So we shall see. So UAL right now, after the earnings call yesterday, pushed lower, pushed higher, stayed higher. So now we're up here. Looking at it now, UAL does like to drop. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. Okay, so we only have 2 drops as far as UAL is concerned. On Q3, we have 1 massive drop and then 1 choppy day. Okay, so now that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at its history, what it likes to do after earnings. In 2019, it went higher, pushed lower, then went higher. Again, same thing, pushed lower a little bit, very little challenge, then went higher, and then Q4 higher, sold off, but pretty much a choppy day, just a slow day. So far for 2019, okay, so this is January, April, July. Everything has been on the upside so far, and then everything from last year, for the most part, was also on the upside. Only 2 from the downside. You know what I mean? January, and then everything coming in from 17. So we'll see what UAL has. Again, I did not take anything heavy or anything crazy on UAL. I am still testing to see if this method of research actually works. But the week is going to be kicking off, guys. We have a lot to look forward to. We have a lot of stocks on our watch list that do give us really, really, really good trades, guys. So let's get it. I hope everyone has an awesome trading day today, Wednesday, October the 16th. I will see you guys on the next one.